Well, in case you didn't know, today is Nelson Mandela International Day. It commemorates Mandela's birthday, and it observes a worldwide day of service.
Madiba may no longer be with us, but his legacy is alive and well. Thousands of South Africans volunteering their time for Nelson Mandela Day on what would have been his 96th birthday. It's the first time the day has been celebrated since the death of the anti-apartheid icon in December last year. For the past 5 years, millions of people have volunteered 67 minutes of their time on July 18 to mark the 67 years the iconic leader worked towards South Africa's freedom.
Our struggle for freedom and justice was a collective effort. Mandela Day is no different. It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it.
The good deeds are spreading, with more than 126 countries from the US to China taking part this year.
Wherever Madiba is, whatever is the state in which he is in his new life, he is smiling today, and you are making him smile. Thank you.
President Jacob Zuma is calling on South Africans to grab a broom and help spruce up the country, saying even the smallest actions can make a difference, a theme echoed by Mr Mandela's family.
He would love to have something that's sustainable. It doesn't have to be big, helping your neighbour out, starting a vegetable garden, sustenance garden, specifically in the rural areas, because that's where it's needed the most.
Even Google has gotten on board this year. The Mandela bikers are doing their bit to help the less fortunate, delivering food and clothing to the needy in rural areas, while in Johannesburg some of his memorabilia is being auctioned off with the hopes of raising $450,000 for charity to continue his work to fight poverty and promote reconciliation. Erin Roan, Arise News.
Here with us is a friend to Arise News, Gay McDougall. She is a distinguished scholar and resident at Fordham Law School. She's also a former international member of the South African governmental body that resulted in the 1994 election of President Nelson Mandela and stood next to him when he voted in that election. So good to see you, Gay.
Good
Thanks
to be
for
here.
coming in. This day of service has been in effect for a few years now, but now this is his first birthday commemorated since his death in December. What is this day? What are your thoughts about this day, Nelson Mandela Day, now?
Well, it's the passing of the torch, the passing of the baton, if you will, to those of us who remain after, and in his view, particularly to young people in South Africa, young people around the world, because the next world is for them to shape. Mm-hmm. And so he called for this day to be commemorated through service. 67 minutes at least of service today, those 67 minutes representing the years of his life in public service fighting for racial equality. And so, there's been an enormous outpouring of activism on this day. Not only in South Africa, but in Paris and London, and indeed here in New York as well. So I think the world is responding.
Indeed. In fact, there was a ceremony commemorating his birthday and Mandela Day at the UN. You were one of the distinguished speakers. Tell me what your message was. What is it that people should reflect upon?
Well, my message was that, first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about how our struggle for racial equality here in the United States resonated with that in South Africa, and how the struggle against apartheid resonated here. And then I talked about his legacy to us, one of courage, of integrity, one of commitment to principle, no matter what sacrifice, one of eschewing egotism and, new forms of leadership models, and commitment to service, which is what this day is about.
Yeah, there's so much talk. I remember when Rise News traveled to South Africa. I was there covering not only the funeral service, but the current state of South Africa. And there's so much talk about, can his legacy continue? From your point of view, are you concerned about the party of Mandela, the ANC's ability to perpetuate his legacy?
Well, I think that for people who were being realistic, it's clear that the road ahead was not going to be a flat one or a straight one, a smooth one. And so they're experiencing some bumps in the road. They're just 20 years old. And so they've got an enormous, period ahead of them. But they're starting out from a position that very few other countries have been birthed with, and that is incredible leadership, talented people, the example of someone like Mandela, leading the country forward. So I think they have an enormous head start to deal with the challenges that they have been left with by apartheid.
We just have a few seconds left, but do you have any insights or illuminations that have come to you since his death? It's been 7 months now. As you look back at his life, your relationship with him, what comes to you?
Well, for me, it's, that I am incredibly thankful for the privilege of having known him, having been able to stand next to him in that magic moment when he cast his ballot for the first time, and being inspired by his legacy. I think that's something that we all can be thankful for.
Yeah, but what a privilege, what great memories you have.
Yes.
Gay McDougall, it's always such a great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And happy Mandela Day.
And to you.
You're watching Arise America.